Texting. We are back. Segment 2, IDD. For those of you who know, I don't disagree. Here from it feels like fall in the mid-sack today. It was a high of 75. It was a little crisp in the morning, about 58. But it's a beautiful, look, this is my favorite time of year. I'm not going to lie. Okay? Football is back. Halloween's my favorite holiday. My daughter is born on October 3rd, right smack dab in the middle of this. Daddy's little girl is a real thing. And they do wrap us around their finger. Joel will not disagree with that. And there is that thing about the daddy-daughter thing. It is real. And my little girl who drives me up a wall, but she's everything to me. And the fact that she's born right in the middle of this, my favorite season, in my favorite month, it was meant to be. So anyway, but this is IDD. For those who know, again, I don't disagree. We are talking NFL football. It is back, boys and girls. We are just days, hours, whatever. I think it's, what is it? What's today? Today's Tuesday night. Thursday night. We are 48 hours from kickoff of the 2024-2025 season, and it's going to be, well, talk about a kickoff. Rematch of the AFC Championship game. Baltimore going out to Kansas City, watch the banner drop that came at their expense in a way, to take on the back-to-back world champion Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes, Kelsey, Andy Reid, the usual suspects will all be there. I'm sure there'll be a Taylor Swift sighting. I'm surprised there hasn't been one already. This Baltimore team comes in with some firepower, added in the form of King Henry. So for those of you, what's kind of funny about this is this didn't get the pub I thought it would get, because he is the definition of a battering ram, a modern day Earl Campbell meets Bo Jackson, almost as fast as Bo, just as big as Earl, and just as physical. And now he's in a backfield with Lamar Jackson. Last year when Tom and I were previewing this game, and we were both convinced Baltimore was going to win because Casey couldn't stop the run, we couldn't figure out why Baltimore didn't run the football. As bad as that was, if they don't run the football Thursday night, Harbaugh should be fired on the spot. Harbaugh shouldn't be allowed back on the plane, okay? Because Lamar Jackson alone is a nightmare for a secondary. Derrick Henry behind him is quite another animal. The Chiefs have a stout defense. Spagnuolo's an excellent coordinator, but no one's ever seen this. Okay? Not at the pro level. I don't know. I'm racking my brain trying to think of a quarterback running back combo this much of a threat in the running game than these two gentlemen are. And if they don't run the ball 40 times minimum, I'll be shocked. Because why wouldn't you? I mean, I would make Kansas City go 8 in the box and make them go 8 in the box, not 7, 8, because these two can beat 7 in the box. Okay? Make them go 8 in the box, which will free up those receivers on the outside, and then Lamar's it's man-to-man out there. That's it. So to me, the game plan on this one is clear. I think, I hope, I assume. By all accounts, and the line is good. Casey got the gentleman's 3 points at home. And again, because Baltimore has yet to prove they can beat these guys when it matters, because they just consistently wet themselves. And now it seems to be the coaching staff that's doing more of the wetting, meaning Harbaugh. Baltimore has everything they need to go in there and beat this team convincingly. Detroit went in there last year. They just ran the ball and they beat them. And Detroit didn't have a running game like this, at least not on paper. No. And those two kids in Detroit are really good. But to have a quarterback as athletic of a runner as Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry behind him, and you have the tight end. Why am I forgetting the tight end's name? He's a stud too. He's an all-pro. The kid Flowers from BC is a stud. I mean, this is a nightmare on paper. And I don't understand. I will not understand them not running the ball 40 times. They should have run it 40 times in the AFC title game last year, and for whatever they didn't do it. They outthought themselves. But I can't understand. I would not understand them not running 40 times Thursday night. The Chiefs, again, they have a stout defense, but they ain't never seen anything like this. They haven't. And teams were able to run on Kansas City last year when they committed to it. So Baltimore has no excuse. And I really think that, and Lamar Jackson last year ran for 800 yards, 5.5 yards a carry, and 5 touchdowns. Gus Edwards, who averaged 4.1 yards a carry and had 13 touchdowns, was the starting back. I don't get. To me, this is the definition of no-brainer. The tight end, by the way, is Mark Andrews. Beckham Jr. is gone. Likely is back. Aguilar is back. Of course, Zay Flowers is back. So they have more than enough weapons in the passing game as well. But you gotta hit KC in the mouth early and often, and wear them down. And by the way, your best defense is a running game, because if you're running the ball and you're moving the chains and you're eating up the clock, guess who's not on the field? Okay? The most lethal weapon in the NFL now that Tom Brady has been retired, it is obviously Patrick Mahomes. Okay? And the more he's standing on the sideline holding a clipboard, the better off you're going to be. Okay? And a running game, I'll tell you what, nothing shuts that guy up better than a running game. Okay? Because he stands there and he watches 6, 7, 8-minute drives, a pop, and then he gets back out there, and then he gets pressured to make plays because the game gets shortened. So he has a smaller margin for error. This is what Baltimore is tailor-made to do. Going after Derrick Henry tells me they saw the tapes, they know the way to beat Kansas City, and they said, well, we're just going to get Derrick Henry and screw it. Okay? Because that's what you're saying. So it should be a hell of a game because, again, it's in Kansas City. Kansas City did add that receiver. I forget in the drafts, who was he? He's a speedster from Texas, and I wanted the Patriots to get him. And let me see if I can pull him up. So this guy runs like a 4.2. He's like a cheetah, at least from a physical standpoint. I don't know if he's elusive or he's got the hands, but he's as fast. Straight line speed, he's as fast. So let me go back one page. I'm sorry. His name, for those of you who don't know, Xavier Worthy from Texas. Came out of Texas. And he is definitely the deep threat that Patrick Mahomes did not have last year. They dumped Kadarius Toney, Mr. Drops It himself, the guy who almost single-handedly cost me a playoff spot in fantasy because the Chiefs led the NFL in drops, and he was the main reason why. Well, he's on the street now. They replaced him with this kid, and this kid is a burner. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. I know Mahomes, being Mahomes, probably got that kid into camp or into workouts probably as soon as he was drafted, as soon as he walked across the stage. He probably was on the other side of the stage waiting for him, put him in a limo, drove him to a field, and they just started running routes. If Mahomes is who I think he is, that's what he was doing. Because the faster you get that kid up to speed, the more lethal that Chiefs offense becomes. And you remember what it was like when they had the cheetah. So that's what they're trying to do. Travis Kelce is still their old reliable. Keyword is old. He admitted in his own words that last year took a toll on him physically. He is 35 now, or he is pushing 35. And I don't know. This could be his last year. I don't know. I think if they three-peat, he walks off into the sun. Okay, definitely. But he also, how old is he? He's on here somewhere. Where is he? Kelce. He's 34. So, and last year, he played 15 games. So he played 15 out of 17 games. So he had a great year. 93 catches, 984 yards. He had 5 touchdowns. So for him, it was a down year, but still a very good year by most tight end standards. But you add this burner on the outside to replace Kadarius Toney, who had Mr. Drops It himself, Mr. Drop a lot. And they may have something depending on how quickly Mahomes and this kid build rapport. So Baltimore has to be leery of that. It's going to be a great chess match. Jim Harbaugh, if not now, when? I mean, this is your best chance. Because, again, you can bludgeon this team with your running game in 2 ways that, and again, I can't wait to see these two together. It's like an all-star game. To see what Henry and Lamar Jackson together can do and what that can do for their passing game, and Andrews and Flowers on the outside. And so, great matchup Thursday night. I give the edge to Baltimore because on paper, Baltimore just, and again, this is where you, look, don't overthink it. just run the fucking ball down their throat. Don't overthink it. I mean, if they come out in a shotgun, I'm going to lose my shit. Okay? Just run the damn ball. Because again, it's one thing, and this is the thing about football, okay? It's all about imposing your will. If you're good at what you do, you can walk over, and this is true in all sports. You can walk over, you tell you the coach what you're going to do, because it's not what you do, it's how you do it. Okay? And if you can impose your will on them right away with the ground game, you put them on their heels. And Kansas City does not like to be run on. They are very vulnerable when teams run on them. It's been proven. Every team that has knocked them off ran the ball down their throat, pretty much. So at some point in the game for stretches, and it wore them down. Baltimore is tailor-made to do this now, especially, and more so now than ever with King Henry back there. Do it. It's going to be a great game. It's probably going to be somewhere like, I'd say, 31-27, 30-24, 33-28, something like that. But I have Baltimore prevailing in this one because if not, now when? Okay, and then Friday, now here's the other thing. Then they got a Friday night game going on here, which I don't remember. I don't remember the last time I saw this. I really don't. But it is also a doozy. They have an AFC Titan clash on Thursday with Baltimore. Friday, they have Green Bay at Philly. Joel, this is going to be a hell of a game. This is in Philly. Philly has got the gentleman's three, like Kansas City did. Green Bay coming off that just thumping of Dallas, and they lost a heartbreaker to San Francisco. Could have beaten them last year. And that was Jordan Love's first year. So now they're in year two. I don't know if they're ahead of schedule on time, but Jordan Love is the real deal, and the Packers are a legitimate threat in the NFC. They are. So they're going to Philadelphia. Philadelphia is at a bit of a crossroads here. Jason Kelce retired, Hall of Fame lineman. Much respect to him. Just all-time great player and a leader on top of it. I was talking to one of the guys at work who's a Jets fan today about this matchup. And the thing about Kelce is it's not just his blocking ability that you're losing, because of course at one point they were the best line in football, and he was the biggest reason why. Well, now he's gone. But it wasn't just that; it was his leadership. Who is going to step up and take that leadership role? On paper, it should be Jalen Hurts. On paper, the Eagles still have that dynamic duo on the outside with Brown and Smith there from Alabama, the Heisman Trophy winner there. Those two are a great 1-2 punch. They really are. The tight end is gone. I don't know who they replaced or drafted with him. I was actually trying to figure that out. I know that in their draft, they did not actually draft a tight end. So I was wondering when I was looking at this roster, who's going to replace Ertz, because I think he's in Washington, actually. They have Goddard. They have Goddard still. He's there. He's pretty solid. Big guy out of South Dakota State, 6'5". He's in his seventh season. He's a good tight end. He's good. Devonta Smith is the receiver I was talking about that complements A.J. Brown. So again, they've got the weapons, and they added Saquon Barkley, who is an all-pro and in my opinion, one of the three best backs in all of football. All around, he's a three-down back, meaning running and receiving. So they got better in the backfield, but again, the offensive line. No one's going to tell me that the offensive line is better automatically when Kelce just retired. And I'm not saying that they didn't draft linemen. I'm not saying they won't pan out, but that's a big, big loss. And Philly's defense, after the front four, is suspect. And what does Green Bay do really well? So this is another pick'em game to me. I'm going to give Philly, See, Philly's at home, and as I said to Tom on more than one occasion, in the NFL, teams are usually 10 points better at home. But this Green Bay offense, this is not the offense that Philly wants to see first weekend of the season. Their cornerbacks are going to be tested early and often by this kid. They got a rookie out of Iowa who's pretty highly touted. And then they've got Ringo, the cornerback out of Georgia. Um, so they've got some pieces there, but this Green Bay passing attack is a lot. It's a lot. So again, I think it's also I think barring turnovers, this will be a close game as well. I want to pick Philly, but some just tells me that Jordan Love is going to throw all over the secondary. So I don't know if I'm picking that one, I'm kind of I'm kind of saying, well, there's no way both home teams are going to lose in the for these two like them and the Chiefs. One of them's going to win, right? But Green Bay, with what they did last year, and again, I think they're a little ahead of schedule. I think people thought that, or up there they thought, this is the year they start to look like they did last year. They're ahead of schedule. And I think that they have the ability also to run the ball. They've got a dual threat there at running back between Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. Or is Dillon still back? Let me see. This is the question. Did they lose anybody out of that backfield? Because that backfield was a nice 1-2 punch that they have as well. Aaron Jones was hurt last year. He missed 6 games. So assuming he is healthy, which I believe he is, you've got him and that battering ram from Boston College there, A.J. Dillon. Actually, is he there? Ooh. Actually, are either of them there? Huh. Well, this is interesting. According to this, neither one is there. Where'd they go? Did I miss a meeting? Huh. Oh, injured reserve. A.J. Dillon is hurt, so he's out. Well, that explains him. But what happened to? Did they let Aaron Jones go? Wait a minute. Nah. Yeah, they did. And you won't believe where he went. He is now a Viking. So that's interesting, which means the Packers are probably going to throw more. Which for me is great because I have Jordan Love in fantasy. So I'm going to give Philly the edge there because Aaron Jones is not there. And while there's going to be a close game, I think Philly prevails at home. There you go, Joel. That's the one I'm going to give you this year. But that's going to be a hell of a game. Both of these are going to be hell of a game. We'll be back on Saturday night. We're going to preview Sunday's games. And I know there are people here going, "What about the Patriots?" We'll get to them on Saturday night. Doesn't look good. But anyway, that's going to do it for segment 2. We're going to come back segment 3, WNBA. It's not going to be a long one, a quick one. But we're going to talk Caitlin Clark, a league MVP candidate. And yes, I am not off my rocker when I say that. And I will explain why in segment 3. Coming right up.